Boy, it's the craziest thing, you know. Conditions change every day. Yesterday we're in here catching them on crankbaits and road runners and everything, and today we've had to really slow down. We've got a bucket of lively minnows, and I'm telling you, if the minnow's not totally alive on this little hot skirt jig, they're not even biting it. So we got the talons down and we're just anchored up and we're fishing super slow around these floaters, and the fish are super inactive. It's early in the day and we're crappie fishing here, and we're kind of forced to use live bait right now because the water's real cold. We had a real cold night last night. So we just put a little minnow on and just hook them through the lips on that little jig. The whole thing with crappies though is you really need to have, you know, a lively minnow. This, you saw I just went in this bucket. This is a little bucket that Plano makes. It's actually intended for worms and for leeches, but we keep our minnows in a big insulated bucket like this one, and that foam lining in both of these buckets kind of does a couple things. The first thing, obviously, it regulates the temperature, so when you get your minnows from the bait store in that nice cool water, you know, the temperature is regulated really good in these, and they're awesome for ice fishing because they never freeze. But the other thing is that foam kind of introduces air bubbles. You know, the air that's hitting the inside of that foam is the water sloshing back and forth. It introduces some air into the water, so that's really huge too. But these little worm containers, the ones that are intended for worms, I love them because you put a handful of minnows in this, and then every guy in the boat gets one of these little buckets. If you go to move the boat, you know, you can put this lid on it. It's totally sealed on there good, but then by just having a little bucket like this with just a little bit of water in it, the minnows are still real lively, and you can just reach in and you can grab them out by hand, you know, without having to even use a net. Oh, I missed them. I'm screwing around. But that's the whole thing with crappie baits. You gotta always have good minnows. You gotta have lively minnows. This is just a little hot skirt jig, it's called, and you just tip it with a minnow, you know, right through the lips, and that just gives them a little bit of meat when the fishing's kind of tough early in the day or late in the day. Crappies are real susceptible to cold, so until it warms up, you just give them that, and you wanna make sure you're tied on to the top of that jig, and that jig will really hang horizontal in the water because of that. You just fish it under a float. It's a great, real subtle way to catch them. So that's how we're starting out. This is just a little hot skirts jig. Okay, this is just a little VMC jig, but as we were talking today, you know, you got to have your tackle dialed in no matter what species you're going for. And this little jig, it's got a great, you know, flashy pattern to the skirt, but even more important, it's got a real good hook. You know, so often you buy little panfish jigs and they got a junky little hook. This has got a real sharp, nice, fairly wide gap hook, and you just hook a minnow through the lip. But just as important is this float. This is a really cool float because it allows you to actually put water in the float. It's just a slip float, but it's got a little valve on it. When you pull it open, you can see you can access the inside. So you go ahead and you get some water in there, or you can weight it. It then snaps closed, and if you watch it, the way I got it now with the water in it, you see how it barely stands up? I don't know if you could see that. You could probably see that. Even the slightest little bite is really noticeable on that float. It barely stands up. That does a couple of things. The first is it makes it really easy to cast. You can really whip it. Okay, so that's a big plus. And it really helps if it's windy to not have the bobber bobbing around. A lot of times crappies just want that bait really suspended slow, and your bobber will be bouncing too much. But with this float, it stays real level in the water. And then the other thing about it, with its design like that, with the narrow top, when you get a bite on it, you throw it out and you do get bit, a lot of times people will be pan fishing and they'll set the hook with a fairly, you know, light combo like this one. They'll set the hook and you drag your bobber so much you miss the fish. All your force of your hook set goes into the bobber instead of into the bait. With this one, you just barely pull it, and all the force goes directly into the line. So it's really a great way when you do get bit. You just sweep set it, and you miss way fewer fish on a bobber like that than you would, a conventional bobber.